So the overall situation today, Tesla went up immediately. It looked like it was actually responding to the news from yesterday, all the amazing news from the Tesla stockholders meeting and from Elon Musk's conversation on CNBC right after. And then as the day progressed, the Tesla stock stayed up a nice 4.5% for the day, but the rest of the risky growth stocks caught up. And the NASDAQ continued up as Tesla did not continue up. So yes, we'll take a 7-point gain today. But what's going on? How come the news still doesn't affect Tesla? Hi, this is Randy Kirk. And if you like my Wednesday night activity here, this Wednesday night show where we talk about all the things that happened to Tesla so far this week, and also with regard to the greater macro, then hit the like button and then hit the subscribe and notify. I have been doing interviews, and I'm going to be doing a lot of interviews the rest of this week, and we are going to have shows packed out for the next couple of weeks with tons of interviews. Why? Because I'm going to Kauai and I want to get at least half of the shows in the can before I go. Anyway, so hit notify if you want to be notified about all these shows coming up. And then, of course, I'd love to have more of you on Patreon to help support the channel because it could use the support. Okay, here we go. Let's take a quick run through of the amazing news that Tesla has generated over the past 5 days, 7 days, whatever, but in particular, the last day, 24 hours. Okay, number one, the expansion of Shanghai. It looks like they have put in permits where they're finally going to go to the next level on Shanghai. Number two, a recommendation, a reconfirmation of the fact that Cybertruck is coming and is coming this year. I'm still looking for it in September, end of September, maybe for a reveal day. Number three, Elon staying as Techno King. All this conversation and confusion, I feel like it was holding the stock back over the weekend and even into the meeting yesterday. But Elon says, no, I'm not going anywhere. In fact, I'm really going to be concentrating on Tesla more than ever, or more than he has been for a long time. So that took that problem off the table. Robin is staying as chair. So if anybody was worried about that, that's off the table. JB Straubel was added to the board. So if anybody was worried that he wasn't going to be, that was solved. And talk about an addition to the board, holy mackerel. Then Elon parades out, makes the top. Watch my video from this morning. It made the number one thing at the entire event yesterday was the Optimist. It wasn't even Cybertruck. Optimist got all the attention. Optimist got the video. Optimist got conversations about how it would be the number one creator of revenues in the future, number one creator of profits in the future, that it would be more than half of all revenues someday in the future, counting FSD, counting Cybertruck, counting all the sexy cars, counting the energy storage business. Add it all up, and the Optimist will be more than 50% of the grand total. Trillions of dollars of future revenues, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars of future profits. That was the focus. That was the t-shirt he was wearing. Watch the video from this morning. If you haven't watched this morning's video, you really, really need to go watch this morning's video. So you can look down in the information below where I show some of the upcoming shows that are coming, but I'll also link to this morning's video about Optimus. This is a video I did with, of course, none other than Scott Walter, PhD, who is such a huge fun part of the Twitter sphere, and who has helped my channel so many times to understand where are we in this Optimus revolution. When is the Optimus coming out? I still continue to believe there will be a reveal this year at AI Day 3. They will reveal a ready to go, ready to ship Optimus and start taking orders. Okay, that's me. That's not Scott. I'm not sure whether Scott thinks that or not. I think that. Okay. Then a possible Giga in India. That's been in the news this morning. So there's an entire team of Tesla people in India right now looking at locations, talking about how it would work, talking about what kind of advantages they might be able to garner from the Indian government. So it looks like this is a very, very high likelihood that India Giga is going to be the next one to be announced. That's on the table. That alone should be affecting the stock market. Tons of rumors of an imminent debut of Highland in Shanghai and Fremont. So both locations ready to go. Discussions that they're already building them in one or both places on pilot lines. We've seen some in the wild. End of June is where everybody's talking about. That should be moving the market. It's not moving the market. It has nothing to do with what's going on with the stock. Elon doubling down on the fact that he's got plenty of lithium. No issue with lithium. And he's building a plant that's going to provide him with the refining capacity that he needs for the rest of the decade. So no issues with regard to the primary ingredients that are necessary to make the vehicles. And then if anybody, if any of the folks on the left who are concerned, and hey, people on the right are concerned too, but if any of the people on the left are concerned about rare earth metals or are with specific issues with children being employed in mines in Africa or whatever, Elon is addressing these. He's an environmentalist. He believes in humans. He believes in keeping the environment clean. He believes in recycling. All of these things that most folks on the left would appreciate. So the fact that he might have a couple of views that are slightly to the right of center shouldn't be bothering these folks that much. All right, so he doubles down on lithium. He announces the new CEO of Twitter, so that should be taking the Twitter overhang off the table. The stock seemed to react to that on Friday, but then it went down again. You can't, it's just crazy. Go ahead, try to figure it out. Then he announces yesterday he'll try advertising. So a whole bunch of folks that might have been going, he can never make it without advertising. Well, that's off the table now. He's going to try advertising, and it's going to be informationable and gorgeous. Those are the two things he told us in his quick response. You like that? Right there on the dais, right there in the middle of the conversation, taking questions and answers. He said later in his conversation with David, he said, I had not been thinking about advertising going into the meeting. The question caused me to think it through, recognize that the stockholders that were in the room care a lot about advertising, and decide right on the spot that we will try some advertising. I love that kind of transparency. I love that kind of interest in the feedback. Who does this? No other CEOs. All right, so he's going to try advertising. Stock doesn't move. Great interview on CNBC. Everybody's talking about the interview on CNBC. And then number 13 in the list, there's probably more. Add them down in the comments if you want to. I read your comments. I like your comments. I respond to a lot of the comments. Morgan Stanley pointed out that they're going to get massive amounts of revenue from IRA, from the Inflation Reduction Act. They put it at 45% of what the current profits will be in the future. 45% going into the future every year, 45%. Elon said, no, half of that. Really? So the IRA is going to contribute 22% to future revenues going forward. Well, I did a whole episode the other day where I charted it out. I showed how much is coming from batteries in Reno, how much is coming from batteries in Fremont, how much is coming from batteries in Austin, how much is going to be coming from batteries put into packs. I spread it all out for the next 6 years. And I showed you just how much it is, about 2 billion this year, about 6 billion next year, about 10 billion, 11, 12 billion the next. Yeah. And 22%. Yeah, I agree with Elon on that one. Okay. So, but does it move the stock? You have all this free money coming in, enough money to build Mexico in the next 8 months. What is it? 12 months. Enough money to build Mexico. Anyway, you can't make this stuff up. So I could have a much longer list here, and I can't explain it. Some folks might be looking at Elon's statement. He made this statement. Look, I'd rather be able to speak my mind, even if it costs money. And a lot of folks on Twitter, they were going, well, but that's my money. The stock goes down and I lose money. Believe me, what Elon says might affect it if you're a day trader, if you're a weekly trader, a monthly trader, yeah, might affect you. It might cause you to lose money. You're absolutely right. Elon doesn't care. He doesn't care about the day traders. He really doesn't. What he cares about is the long-term investors. And believe me, what he says is not affecting the long-term prospects of Tesla. the proof of that is obvious. Okay. So yes, are there some folks who say, oh, he believes this? Well, I'm not going to buy his cars. Well, they do that to their own detriment. And that's absolutely ridiculous. On the other side of the coin, I've talked about this on Twitter today at some length, got a fair number of people liking what I said. I'd much rather have a CEO of the company have such character. I was raised with character as a critical part of what I was supposed to do with my life. And he has the character to say that free speech matters more. Free speech matters more than profit. Because I'll tell you what, if you're hoping to gain wealth in your life, and you want to gain wealth, even though it might mean that you lose freedoms, including free speech, your wealth is probably not going to be that great. It's probably going to be cutting into your wealth, into your potential wealth. But yet on the other side of the coin, if what you care about is free speech, and you want to live in a place with free speech, and you want to be someone who demands free speech and then uses your speech, then you're probably going to have both. You're going to get the free speech and the wealth. That kind of character, that translates down to the whole company. We're not just talking about affecting the question of speech or the question of speech on Twitter or the question of other freedoms. Rather, it's going to go down to all the employees. It's going to go down to the character of how you build the products, the character of what you will allow to leave the building. Yeah, I'd rather have a CEO or a techno king with character than a techno king whose major concern was money. No, let's get the character first, the money will follow. That's my opinion. Hey, comment below if you think I'm wrong, but please give me a real argument. Don't go, no, Randy, you're wrong about that. No, if you're going to say it, then give me the full argument. I'd love to see your arguments against the idea that freedom of speech is way, way more important than wealth. All right. So I don't know. So Elon also badmouthed the economy. That could be holding back the stock. But if he's badmouthing the economy, that would therefore mean the economy is going to be bad and all stocks are not going to do well. But he says the next 12 months are going to be not that great. And does anybody out there think the next 12 months are going to be that great? The Fed's trying to keep the next 12 months from being great. Most of the reporting that's coming out suggests that the next 12 months aren't going to be that great. So we'll talk about it in a minute. Transports stocks are down. That would indicate, anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute though. All right. So he says, however, does anybody pay attention to this? The however? The however here is, who do you want to own stock in? What kind of a company do you want to have? Do you want to have a company going into a recession or into tough times that has a huge cash pile in the bank and no debt, and also has incredible pricing power? Everybody says they have incredible pricing power. Ford says they have incredible power. Everybody says that Tesla has incredible pricing power. They have the ability to set the stage with regard to pricing. So do you want a company going into a recession with tons of cash, no debt, and pricing power? Or would you rather be investing in a company going into a recession who has okay cash, tons of debt? The debt is going up. The interest rates are going up on that debt. So their overhead cost is going up daily practically with regard to their debt. And who doesn't have pricing power? Would that be a better company to invest in? I don't know. I'm not an investment advisor, but I am a businessman. I've been a businessman my whole life. I've owned over 40 businesses. I think I'd rather be in the position of Tesla going into tough times. And that's what he said. He says, yeah, we're in a much better position. And because all markets turn, whether it's into a recession or eventually going back into good times again, when you come out of the recession, the company like Tesla, who had all those attributes going into a recession, they're the ones that come out strongest at the other end. And that's what's going to happen with Tesla. I can tell you right now. All right. So why isn't the market rewarding Tesla? It seems like they should be rewarding Tesla, but they aren't really rewarding anybody. And that's because we're still in a risk-off situation. So when you're in a risk-off situation, people are running to safety. They're not even bidding up the safe stocks at this point. The stock market has been kind of flat for a very long time. Bond market's been flat for a very long time. Oil has been flat. Gold has been flat. So pretty much everybody is like moving their portfolio around a little bit here and there where they see maybe they can get a slight advantage, but overall it's been flat. Tons and tons of cash on the sideline, tons of cash ready to spring into action when risk on becomes a thing again. So let's talk about what is holding down the macro at this point, other than the fact that the Fed is trying to kill it. All right, number one, the debt ceiling talks. Well, the debt ceiling talks today seem pretty optimistic. Some people say the market went up today because there was more optimism about solving the debt ceiling issue. The president said, we're getting closer to solving it. We're inching towards a solution. The Republicans have said, yeah, we're not planning to shut down the government. But you know what? We're still 2 weeks away from the earliest date. We're not talking about the crisis date. The Treasury has been saying, oh, it might be as early as June 1, might be as early as. Most people think it's more like the middle of June into July before there's really a crisis. But we have 2 weeks to go before even the earliest date. I don't think that the market is that stupid. I think the market is just not interested in any of the news. If it was dramatically bad, if a bunch, so for instance, it was dramatically bad to have banks failing. That's a dramatic thing. And so the market did react to banks failing. Well, the regional banks moved up this week out of their normal trading range, recent, not their overall, but their recent trading range. They were able to bust out of that trading range. And that was because deposit concerns seem to be kind of receding now. They're not as strong. The deposit concerns are not as great as they were a week ago or so. Even this Monday, some of the stocks were down. But as of Wednesday, it seems like people are getting a little less concerned about the regional banks. I do know that PacWest is now offering a 5% CD, 2-year CD, 5% 2-year CD with only $2,500. It's a $2,500 face. That's pretty good. They got to compete with the Fed and the treasuries. What are they going to do? They got to be able to be somewhere near the money markets. The money markets are more secure than the banks are. So they got to have these higher rates if they're going to be able to compete. All right. So what else? Oil was up because of fires in Canada, according to the headline. Well, that could be true. But if it is true, it was trivial because it was only like $1.50. So I don't think that's what moved oil today. And I do think that it is unlikely that that's going to move oil much. So I'm saying oil is still at the lower end of the trading range of 70 to 80. Let's call it 68 to 82. So I'm still really happy with oil. I think maybe oil could go down some more here in the future as both China and the United States economies soften. But I'll be happy with oil at 70. That would help inflation over the next few months, and that would be good. Dow transports, I mentioned this a few minutes ago. So the Dow transports have been going down about 3% at the same time that the Dow industrials were going up. There are many folks who've written books and done entire studies in terms of whether this divergence means that the recession is coming. Well, the recession, something flat or recession is definitely here and coming. But I've told you many times, I don't think it could be a recession because there's not enough unemployment to have a recession. There's too much money. People who are employed earn money. They come home and they spend the money, which goes in the economy, which keeps it from going recession. Now, if they put it all in their pockets, if they put every extra dollar in their pockets or in savings, yes, that could therefore you could start to see some evidence of recession. But we aren't seeing that yet. What we're seeing is that Target just had good numbers today. We'll see what happens with Walmart tomorrow. Walmart reports tomorrow, so that'd be something worth looking at. So I think that transports are a leading indicator, but I don't think the stocks are a leading indicator. I think the actual tonnage is a leading indicator. I went to check today to give you an update on tonnage. That reporting is later this week, so I'll give you that report on Friday night when I do the Friday night review. I think we call it Good News Tesla Friday. Anyway, check that out on Friday. I'll give you the update on the tonnage. So later this week, if you want to watch it ahead of me, look for truck tonnage numbers, the truck tonnage index, and also look for what Walmart says tomorrow. We also have the what do you call it? The performance, the other, never mind. I can't remember. So I'll talk about it on Friday. Housing confidence came in better than expected. So the builders, this is builders confidence, came in better than expected. Permits or starts came in higher than expected. I didn't see the permit numbers. This is not surprising. There's no inventory. You've heard me say it. If you follow this channel, you know there's no inventory. If you follow this channel, you know that at some point the builders are going to say, you know what, it's time to get in it. The problem is that the builders cannot build low-cost housing, affordable housing. They just can't. There's not enough money in it. The various states, in particular California, New York, Chicago, etc., these states need to reduce some of the filing costs, some of the overall costs of building a building, because all of those costs go in to a $200,000 house the same way they go into $1 million house. So it really makes it unprofitable for these builders to build affordable housing. That's not going to stop until some of these states wake up and do the smart thing. They haven't been waking up so far. Okay. Target, as I said, came in better than expected. So that's showing that overall retail seems to be okay, but Home Depot came in kind of soft. The stock went down. They also gave poor guidance. And so if you know, again, from watching this channel, that would indicate to me that people may be holding back a little bit on these home improvements. This is the season. If they don't do it between now and August, they're not going to do it, except for the pre-Christmas, freshen up your house before your guests arrive. This is the big season for Home Depot. And right now they're giving not so great guidance. Interesting, Target also mentioned theft. Organized theft is going to cost them $500 million this year. We have corporate stores, major stores, Whole Foods, Target, other companies shutting down stores in inner cities because they're being trashed. And there was a huge amount, if you guys aren't old enough to remember, there was a huge amount of work done by folks that were champions of the inner cities, trying to get these stores to move into the inner cities, but now they're being trashed. And you're telling me that there isn't something wrong with the governance in these cities? There's something wrong with the governance in these cities. These major cities have horrible governance. I can't understand why the populations of those cities aren't kicking these people to the curb and putting people in that are more likely to stop the crime, stop the drugs, stop the homelessness, stop the ridiculous amount of crime that's happening in terms of shoplifting by gangs. Solve these problems in the inner cities so that these companies can feel like they can afford to be in these major cities. Anyway, that's all I got for you today. Look forward to talking to you tomorrow. It's been great having this conversation.